Some careers pay you in money, others pay you in something harder to name. There is a category of professional commitment where the compensation structure cannot be found in any salary survey. The benefits package includes isolation, moral complexity, and a slow erosion of private identity over decades. No recruiter advertises these costs. No offer letter lists them. They accumulate silently, compounding like debt. Most people think of extreme careers in terms of what they provide: the title, the clearance, the authority, the sense of purpose. Few people study what those careers systematically extract in return, year after year, across an entire working life. The extraction is not random. It follows a pattern. The pattern has stages. Each stage costs more than the last. This is the hidden financial architecture of careers that demand total commitment, told through the lens of the most demanding one ever designed. Not to glorify it, not to warn you away from ambition, but to show you the full ledger, both sides of it. Because every high-commitment career operates on a similar hidden exchange, even the ones that look nothing like this from the outside. The question is not whether the career costs you something. Every career costs you something. The question is whether you ever calculated what you were actually paying before you signed the contract. The price of entry into the most demanding careers is almost never stated at the start. Before you earn $1, you spend months or years being evaluated by systems that have no obligation to explain themselves. The evaluation reaches backward through your entire history, not your resume history, your actual history. Financial records, personal relationships, minor infractions, travel patterns, everything becomes data in someone else's calculation. By the time you are deemed acceptable, the institution knows you in dimensions your own family does not. And you have not yet done a single day of work. The screening alone is a form of consumption. It consumes time, privacy, and psychological energy. Then comes the offer. It arrives without negotiation. The terms are fixed. The non-disclosure is permanent. The commitment is indefinite. You sign because the alternative is to walk away from the thing you spent years trying to reach. That moment, the signing, is the first real transaction. And like most consequential financial decisions, you make it with incomplete information. The feeling afterward is that particular mixture of relief and unease that comes from crossing a threshold you cannot uncross. You do not know yet that this threshold is only the first of many, and that each one costs a little more than the one before. Before you operate in the world, you are rebuilt by training designed to replace large portions of who you were. This is not metaphor. The rebuild is systematic and deliberate, running across months of structured pressure in isolated environments. Your name changes. The name you respond to changes. The way you construct a sentence about yourself changes. You learn systems of knowledge that most people never access, and this knowledge separates you from ordinary social life in ways you do not immediately recognize. The physical conditioning reshapes your reflexes. The scenario training reshapes your instincts. Both are investments with no liquid form. The investment does not pay a salary. It pays in capability, the ability to function in environments where untrained people would collapse. But capability is not the same as compensation. Capability is a tool. It costs you something to build and something to maintain. The 35% who leave are not failures. They are people who recognized, in time, that the identity being built for them was not one they could afford to wear. The ones who stay do so for reasons that are rarely fully conscious. Ambition, discipline, a disposition toward pressure, sometimes something darker. Staying is the decision that commits the most. Because the training produces a person who is increasingly difficult to reverse engineer back into a civilian, the graduation ceremony that follows is private and brief. There is no ceremony for the identity you surrendered to get there. That identity has no further value to the institution. It has already been replaced by something more useful to the mission. The first years of operational work introduce a structure that will define the rest of the career, the double ledger. On one side, an official life. On the other, the real one. Both must be maintained simultaneously at full fidelity. The official life has to be real enough to survive investigation. Real meetings, real reports, real professional relationships. The real life operates at night, in rented back rooms and empty side streets, in meetings that last precisely as long as they need to and not a moment longer. Every meeting is a financial transaction in the most fundamental sense. Something of value is exchanged. The exchange is structured around mutual need and mutual deception. The asset provides information. The officer provides money, and more importantly, a narrative the asset can tell themselves. The narrative matters more than the money. People rarely do dangerous things for cash alone. They do them for stories that make the danger feel principled. The officer's job is to construct and maintain that story without breaking it, because breaking it ends the transaction permanently. This is relationship capital being deployed with precision. Build trust, extract value. Never reveal the architecture of the extraction. The commendation that follows a successful operation does not appear in any document you will ever see. The recognition is invisible. The extraction was real. The emotional accounting runs in parallel and is never reconciled. There is no time to reconcile it. There is always another meeting scheduled. The discipline required to suppress that accounting is itself a cost. It is paid in increments that are too small to notice individually and too large to ignore in aggregate. Deep cover does not simply change your name, it changes your gravitational field. Everyone you are close to is held at a calculated distance. The cover relationship looks like a marriage and functions like a professional arrangement. Proximity without disclosure, presence without honesty. The real family, parents, siblings, old friends, recedes to the edge of audibility. Calls happen on sanitized lines, at scheduled intervals, saying nothing of substance. The institution does not compensate you for this separation. It is simply the operating condition, the price embedded in the structure. In finance, compounding works because small inputs accumulate exponentially over time. Isolation operates on the same mechanism, but in reverse. Each year of reduced contact with people who know your real self reduces the size of the self they knew. The compound loss is silent and continuous. The moment you write your own name on a piece of paper just to remember the shape of it is a form of insolvency. Not financial, but psychological. You have spent so much of your identity as operating capital that the principle has begun to erode. The cover has become more liquid than the person underneath. This is the hidden leverage risk of high-commitment careers. You borrow against your own identity to fund the work. The debt accrues invisibly. The perimeter is secure. The operation is producing. The reports are going out on schedule. Everything is working. Except the person doing the work has become increasingly difficult to locate when the work is set aside. And the work is never fully set aside. That is not a feature of this career alone. That is the defining characteristic of any career built on total institutional capture. There is a tier in every high-commitment field where the professional operates without the standard support architecture. No team, no oversight in real time, no one to verify the decision before it is made. Just a budget, an objective, and the requirement to disappear. This is the Singleton economy. The asset is you, deployed entirely, with no hedge and no fallback position. The investment thesis is long and slow. 14 months of preparation before a single substantive contact. Patience as a form of capital. Relationships are built in layers so gradual that the subject experiences them as organic. Because they must be organic. Anything forced would be detected. The return on this investment arrives years later, in intelligence that could not have been obtained any other way. The timeline is illiquid by design. But the illiquidity is not only in the operation, it is in the officer. Every month spent as someone else is a month that cannot be recovered. The friendship that develops is real in one direction and constructed in the other. Both the love and the calculation coexist. Neither cancels the other. When the relationship ends, as it must, the cost arrives in full. Not gradually, all at once in a hotel room, staring at a ceiling at 3 in the morning. The scotch is not the mechanism. The ceiling is not the mechanism. The mechanism is the requirement to process nothing and then board a flight and begin again. In finance, this is called carrying risk without being able to hedge it. The exposure grows with every operation. There is no instrument designed to offset it. The next operation is always waiting. In any high-demand career, the next demand is always waiting. The cycle is the cost structure. The cost structure is the career. The institution eventually moves you off field operations and into command. This is described as advancement. It is also a form of metamorphosis with permanent side effects. You are now responsible for the exposure of others. Their decisions compound into your liability. The cables you read at 5 in the morning represent human beings under pressure in hostile environments. You approved the pressure. You approved the environment. When something goes wrong, and something always eventually goes wrong, the management layer absorbs the weight of it in a particular way. An officer is held in a hostile country. An asset is lost to a basement you cannot reach. The negotiation runs for 11 weeks through channels that officially do not exist. The officer comes home. The asset does not. You write a letter to a family that cannot receive it, and you put the letter in a safe, and the safe does not empty. The management premium in finance refers to the additional return required for taking on systematic risk. No such premium is paid here. The exposure is the job. You are responsible for outcomes you cannot fully control, operating on information that is always incomplete, making decisions that cannot be deferred. The grief that is not permitted publicly is also not permitted privately. There is no scheduled time for it. The next cable replaces it by necessity. The clock on the desk reads 5 in the morning. The coffee has gone cold. The decision waiting on page 3 of the new cable cannot wait until 6. This is the premium the institution extracts from its managers. Not overtime, not missed vacations. The systematic prohibition of resolution. Some things are designed by the architecture itself to never be resolved. You learn to work inside unresolved things. Eventually, you stop noticing the weight. The top operational post in a major country looks like power. It is also the most isolated position you have occupied since your first cover assignment. You command officers, manage assets, and administer budgets that most institutions cannot imagine. You also perform diplomacy with a counterpart who is actively working against you. The liaison relationship with the foreign intelligence chief is a precise financial metaphor. Two parties transacting with each other while each believes they are extracting more than they are surrendering. The sanitized intelligence flows in both directions. Both sides believe they are winning the information arbitrage. Neither is willing to verify. Every decision at this level is made on incomplete information under time pressure with asymmetric accountability. The asset who vanishes for 3 days and returns with an explanation becomes an entire strategic problem. Is the explanation real or is it scripted? You cannot wait for certainty. Certainty does not exist in this environment. You make the best available judgment and absorb the residual risk personally. The defection decision runs for 6 months and costs a marriage. The bilateral relationship is the institution's concern. The marriage was yours. You signed the divorce papers in the same office where you authorize operations. 10 minutes later, your face is in the next meeting and it shows nothing. The professional competence required to show nothing is built over years of disciplined suppression. It becomes the dominant personality feature. There is nothing left underneath it that the institution did not put there. You go home to an apartment that was never really a home, eat dinner alone, and begin processing the next 48 hours before sleep arrives. The institution got what it needed from this posting. You delivered. The cost of delivery was priced into the contract you signed in a hotel conference room decades earlier. At the level of regional command and national security briefings, the career crosses from operations into the architecture of decisions that shape history. The room is small. The number of people who understand what is actually being decided is smaller still. The operations approved at this level would not survive public examination. They are structured not to survive public examination. The legal frameworks that authorize the most consequential actions are themselves constructed inside the same rooms where those actions are authorized. This is not a criticism. It is a description of how every advanced institution eventually operates when the stakes become sufficiently high and the alternatives sufficiently worse. When you testify before oversight bodies, the testimony is calibrated, technically accurate, and carefully bounded. Everyone in the room understands the calibration. The senators ask the sharper questions off camera. You answer those more directly. Both sides return to their public positions afterward unchanged. The cynicism this produces is different from ordinary professional cynicism. It does not feel like cynicism after long enough. It presents itself as clarity. Clarity is not the same as peace. Clarity is knowing exactly how the mechanism works and having no remaining illusions about it. You mentor younger officers who look at you with something resembling awe. You remember having that look. You cannot locate the person who wore it. The accumulation of moral complexity over 20 years of consequential decision-making is not visible from the outside. It has no external expression at all. It has weight, though. You feel it most clearly when the room is quiet, which it rarely is, and when you allow yourself to feel anything at all, which you rarely do. Retirement from a total commitment career is not a transition. It is a renegotiation with reality that has no precedent in your experience. You walk out of the building for the last time, and the colors seem different, sharper. The world did not change. Your perceptual system did. The reflexes do not retire when you do. You scan the road. You check the locks. You notice cars that do not belong. The architecture of vigilance was installed too deeply to uninstall. The house is in a name that is not quite yours. The neighbors know a version of you that was assembled for a different purpose. 3 marriages, no survivors. Children who know portions of the truth and will never know the rest. A daughter who interviews people her father once would have recruited. The institution still calls. A phrase activates protocols memorized 30 years earlier. You meet a young officer in a coffee shop 4 hours from home. You carry knowledge that cannot be written down, cannot be transferred in any standard way, can only be transmitted in conversation, and dies when you die. The nightmares sharpen with time rather than fading. The faces in them are specific now. The operations have names. The costs have faces attached. Watching something from a distance is its own form of participation. The accumulation of watched things across 3 decades is the weight you carry into retirement. You write nothing down. That was the deal. Not the written deal, the actual deal, which was always more binding than any paper you signed. On the back porch in the evenings, the whiskey is cold and the light across the trees is slow, and for a few minutes the accounting pauses. But somewhere, tonight, someone young is preparing an application that will take 9 months to process. They have no idea what they are beginning to pay. Every career worth serious commitment operates on a hidden cost structure that is never fully disclosed at the moment of entry. The visible compensation, salary, title, authority, security clearance, organizational prestige, is always the smaller part of the transaction. The larger part is extracted gradually across decades in the form of time, relationships, privacy, identity stability, and the full use of your interior life. High-commitment careers do not ask for these things explicitly. They simply build an environment where those things naturally flow toward the institution and away from you. The financial principle at work is straightforward. Every contract has a stated price and an unstated price. The unstated price is usually larger. Sophisticated financial thinking requires reading both. Accepting a role, a job, a vocation, a calling, without reading the full contract is the most common form of expensive naivete. This does not mean high-commitment careers are wrong choices. It means they are high-cost choices that should be made with full information. The people who thrive longest inside total commitment systems are not the ones who pay the least. They are the ones who entered with the clearest accounting. They knew the marriage statistics. They knew the identity erosion. They knew the grief that would never be processed publicly. They chose anyway, with open eyes. Clarity about cost is not the same as unwillingness to pay. It is the foundation of any decision that you will still respect from the far end of a long career. The legend sitting on a back porch at the end of 33 years did not regret the choice, but he could tell you exactly what the choice cost, in ways the offer letter never did. That kind of accounting, the real accounting, the one that includes both columns, is the only one worth building a life on.